Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Okay, so Virgil Ortiz, he knocks out Luben in the second round. The fight pretty much played out the way I told you guys I thought it would play out. I mean, I didn't think that Ortiz would get Luben out that early, but I never felt that Luben was going to win this fight because Luben is not the fighter that he was before he lost to Jamel Charlo when he was undefeated, which was a very long time ago. But credit to Ortiz for getting Luben out within 2 rounds. Now we talk about the real fight that's supposed to happen next between Jaron, Ennis, and Virgil Ortiz. With Ortiz and Boots both getting early impressive knockouts leading up to their fight that's supposed to come to fruition, it just made this fight even bigger. This fight has been building up for the last 4 or 5 years since they were both fighting at welterweight. It's not only the biggest fight at 154, it's one of the biggest fights in the sport of boxing right now. But here comes the bad news. Virgil Ortiz and his entire team, including Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter, what Oscar De La Hoya said immediately following this fight, it sounds like they don't want the fight. Because while the entire boxing world and DAZN's commentary team seemed extremely hyped up talking about this potential fight between Boots and Ortiz, Oscar De La Hoya, he says right after the fight, it's going to be difficult making this fight. And then he ends it by saying that Virgil Ortiz, he holds all the cards. Oscar is actually right. I agree with him. Ortiz does hold all the cards because the unfortunate truth in the sport of boxing is the A side will always be the team that really doesn't want the fight. They're the team that holds all the cards because they're the ones that's willing to walk away from this potential fight. You see, when Oscar De La Hoya says it's going to be difficult to make this fight, the translation is simple. Oscar is saying that he believes Jaron Ennis is a better fighter than Ortiz and will most likely win this fight. And if you're going to take my best fighter's undefeated record away, you guys are going to have to give us some big bucks. What Oscar is really saying is they want compensation for the loss. And that's not just what Oscar is saying, that's what Ortiz's team is saying as well. Ortiz's father, he had just recently came out like a day before this fight, and he literally said the fight doesn't make sense. He said if they want us to fight that guy, they're going to have to really give us some serious money. That's basically what he said.
You know, Virgil has a fight going on right now. That's one thing. You got to show his opponent respect because if you know, boxing works certain ways. You know, you overlook somebody, it'll bite you in the ass. You know, the other thing is that, I mean, come on, the guy just fought a nobody. You know, how are you supposed to sit here and be worrying about him when he's fighting nobody? Just like thinks you can just go straight to you. Like how about you fight somebody? You know, you got to earn your way also. And it's just the way it is. Luben has earned his way. So for us, that's how we see it. You know, Luben's earned it. This guy's not even in the conversation for us. You know, unless you fight somebody, or if the money's there and they present it and it's good, you know, that's fine. But man, the guy turned it down twice already, just recently. This last offer was supposed to be for October. So how can we sit here and think about him when he's already turned it down? It don't make for us. It doesn't make no sense. It's like.
So that was Virgil Ortiz Sr. talking. Man, they sound terrified. They sound terrified of this fight. This man was flip-flopping all over the place. 1 minute he claims that, you know, they offered Jaron the fight and he turned it down twice. And then he turned around and he says, oh, he has to earn his fight. He has to earn a fight against Virgil Ortiz. So that means that they're even admitting that they didn't want this fight when it was first presented to them. I'm telling you guys right now, they do not want this fight. And that is the reason why, once again, they hold all the cards. I mean, it's like somebody wanting to buy your house and you don't want to sell your house. Your house is not up for sale. But if someone is willing to give you way more than the house is actually worth, you may actually consider it. You see, the reality is Ortiz's team, they're not negotiating this fight with confidence that they're going to win. If they even seriously negotiate this fight, they're going to demand severance pay. They're going to demand enough money to retire. And once again, this is the reason why Oscar De La Hoya immediately says, oh, negotiations are going to be very difficult. It's going to be hard to make this fight. Yeah, because they're going to ask for ridiculous demands, which almost always happens when some non-black fighter, especially Mexican fighters, they are being forced to fight some very dangerous undefeated BA. Since the inception of the sport, Black American boxers have always had to concede in negotiations and meet ridiculous demands of their opponents just to make the fight come to fruition. Jack Johnson, he had to chase the heavyweight champion Tommy Burns for years to force him to fight him. Originally, Tommy Burns, he said he would never fight a black man for the heavyweight title. Then later on, he asked for a ridiculous amount of money that he thought no one would ever give him to fight Jack Johnson, which was kind of like when Teofimo Lopez and his father, they said that they wanted $20 million to fight Devin Haney. when Tio at the time admitted that he had never made over $1 million. Well, at the time, Tommy Burns, he was demanding $30,000, and that was considered a ridiculous amount of money at that time, at least in boxing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, some promoter, he surprised Tommy Burns and put up the money.
The people behind Johnson are saying $30,000, Tommy, $30,000. We will pay you $30,000 to fight Jack Johnson.
Burns had run out of excuses. He accepted the $30,000, plus the lion's share of the proceeds that would come from showing movies of the contest. John L. Sullivan was livid. Shame on Burns, he said, for upsetting good American precedent. Johnson was to be paid just $5,000. But he'd gotten his chance.
Tommy Burns, he knew there was a very good chance he was going to lose to Jack Johnson, and he wanted severance pay. He wanted enough money to retire on, and he got that and some. The great Joe Louis, he had to meet ridiculous demands to fight for the heavyweight title as well against Jim Braddock. Now remember, after Jack Johnson lost his title, they didn't allow a black boxer to fight for the heavyweight crown for 22 years. And the first time they allowed another black fighter to fight for the world title, he won a title, and that was Joe Louis. But the stipulations that he had to meet to fight for that title against Jim Braddock was ridiculous. The only way Jim Braddock would agree to fighting Joe Louis is if Joe Louis agreed to pay Jim Braddock a certain percentage of his career earnings for the rest of his boxing career. And Joe Louis, he had no choice but to agree to the champion's demands. So just imagine how good you have to think this fighter is to say, man, the only way I'm fighting that guy is if I can get a piece of him for the rest of his career. If you're going to beat me and take my title, then you're going to have to take care of me for the rest of my life. Not only does this mean Jim Braddock knew he was going to lose this fight to Joe Louis, but he knew how special Joe Louis was. Now you fast forward to Devin Haney versus George Kambosos, another example of history repeating itself. George Kambosos, he never wanted to fight Devin Haney. He was trying to make it sound like he didn't know if he was going to fight Devin Haney or Lomachenko. Later on, he admitted that the original plan was to always fight Lomachenko. But Lomachenko, he completely foiled all of his plans when Lomachenko, he decided to go to Ukraine and fight for his country. This forced George Kambosos to take the fight that he never wanted to take, which was against Devin Haney. So what did he do? Because he knew how desperate Devin Haney was to become the real undisputed champion at 135, George Kambosos, he sold all of his belts for the highest price. He made the most ridiculous demands in negotiations to make that fight. And Devin Haney, he had no choice but to agree to all of George Kambosos' terms. Then you have Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. Shakur Stevenson, he chased Oscar Valdez for years and years and years. Valdez, he was constantly trying to avoid the fight until finally he had no choice but to take the fight. But when he took the fight, once again, it's the fighter who really doesn't want the fight that holds all the cards. So he made ridiculous demands, and that was the only way that fight came to fruition. Now you fast forward to present day, and here Virgil Ortiz and his team is doing the exact same thing. They see a dangerous BA, they don't have the confidence that they can beat him, and they're already talking about how difficult negotiations are going to be. Ortiz's own father is basically saying, why doesn't Jaron Ennis leave us alone and go fight someone else? As if Virgil Ortiz is a champion. Ortiz is not even a former champion. He's never held a belt. The only man that has been a champion out of the two is Jaron Ennis. Jaron was a unified champion at 147. They don't want this fight. I'm telling you right now, a lot of Mexican fans and especially a lot of Mexican fighters and trainers, they have a lot of PTSD when it comes to them thinking about how many of their idols, how many of their favorite fighters and champions have lost to BAs, dangerous, undefeated BAs. Now, this doesn't mean that BAs are unbeatable, obviously. It just means at the highest level, it's very difficult to beat an undefeated BA, especially when you're talking about Jaron Ennis, and they understand this. Especially after they just seen what Terrence Crawford did to Canelo Alvarez. So at the end of the day, this is a great matchup, and I'm hoping that this fight comes to fruition. But once again, when you listen to what Oscar De La Hoya says, it sounds like he's going to try to do everything in his might to pivot away from this fight. And they might try to go after Sebastian Fundora because I believe Ortiz is the WBC interim champion. But even then, Fundora would have to agree to that fight, and there's no guarantee he would agree to that fight. So there's going to be a lot of pressure put on Ortiz to take this Jaron Ennis fight. Let's see if he does it. I hope he does. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
You can just look at somebody and tell them, like, yo, you're not that guy, buddy. You're not that guy. You can look at me and tell I'm that guy. I was born like this. I was blessed with this.
I'm always hungry. Just because I'm world champion, don't stop. The main goal and objective, and that's to keep going. I'm gonna forever keep going, forever keep winning.
Just naturally, man. I know how to do this. I born for this. I born for be different. And then you only they said. No, a lot of these fighters just do rapping. I just came off a loss, and I'm down to fight the best. I'm going up to 135 to fight somebody that they think I can't beat, and I'm going to dominate him, and then I come back down to 30 and beat his ass too.
My hunger is always going to be there. I never get satisfied. I'm not satisfied. My job still isn't done. That's why. My job ain't done yet.
Anyone who's ever had it understands shoulder pain is no joke. It can keep you up at night. Once it's in pain, it stays in pain all the time. You find yourself popping all kinds of painkillers, and then you find yourself trying to figure out what the problem is. You go see doctors, you go see surgeons, you go see physical therapists, massage therapists. The shoulder in particular has 4 different joints. Any one of those 4 joints can be problematic because you have these different ligaments that wrap around and hold those joints together. And then you have tendons from any one of 20 different muscles that attach to the shoulder blade that can go awry. Muscle and Bone NYC has been around serving many people, getting them out of shoulder pain and all kinds of joint pain since 2012. Contact us at mbnyc.fitness or call us at 917-238-3650. Let's get you out of that pain.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Key Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodkey.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.